So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the Dual Triangle event once again, and honestly, the distribution is a little bit surprising to me. So, we have Dark Water, Light Earth, and Fire Wind, and 42% for Light Earth, 36% for Dark Water, 22% Fire Wind. And I assume this is based on accumulated points. So, the typing that has gotten the most play seems to be Light Earth, and there is a good amount of Blue Eyes Primite that was just built overall, and people are just playing it because I guess, it's the deck you probably already have. So, makes sense, I guess, to be playing this, but for it to be this popular, that was a little bit surprising for me. Well, not that surprising, honestly, that it would be the most played, but by like these margins, like these ratios, kind of surprising in that regard. In terms of like the best deck to be playing, like if we were to think of this as maybe a long-term format, I think like Firewind probably the best one, just because best consistency I think would be Firewind. And then Dark Water is kind of okay. So the issue of Dark Water for like me in particular is I don't feel like crafting three, or I guess in my case would just be two more copies of Impulse. But yeah, Impulse is one of the best hand traps you could be running for this attribute. But yeah, I'm not going to do that, and I also don't feel like optimizing this list. I'm pretty sure I'd like an optimal list for Dark, like Mono Dark, and this deck is pretty much Mono Dark anyway. So yeah, well, Water and Dark don't really have that much synergy, aside from your ability to run potentially some hand traps like on a Skullmeister. And the reason we're running Skullmeister instead of Bistrels is just because I'm not like 100% confident that we're going to just be dealing with Blue Eyes. So if we were to instead face off against, let's say, Madolche or some other Earth Brews, there are some, then I have nothing to do with the Bistrels. Skullmeister might be able to activate, maybe, probably still not really. So yeah, in short, there are just not that many good Dark or Water hand traps that I could really be running. Like, I guess the Mulcharmies, they're cards, but they're also terrible in this list in particular because of how it kind of functions. So not great in that regard. And in terms of like attributes for the for Dark, the best pairing I would want with Dark, aside from like Dark Light, would be probably Dark Fire. Dark Fire would go pretty hard. Just having access to Ash Blossom is pretty nice just in general. Or, just any attribute that's not water, honestly. If we had light, we can run Lubellion. If we have light, we can run Effect Veiler. If we have earth, we can run Ghost Bell instead. If we have wind, we can run Droll. If we have water, yeah, water hand traps, not that great. So, yeah. And right now, I think I've seen like 0 fire wind decks just whenever I played this event. Well, whenever I am playing against a deck, it's usually Blue Eyes Primite for the most part, the majority of games. And it's not really that problematic because their consistency was hit a lot. I believe they have like one of Wishes, one of Maiden, and I think that's it, right? I think those were the primary hits. So not really that bad to deal with, I'd say. Just in general, a few things I want to talk about. The ratios, I probably would have to rework this, but Dark has the advantage in the sense that you can just slap in 3 quick launch into any Dark deck, and then you can go through this line where you special summon Tracer, special summon Strike or Dragon, and then you can grab the field spell, Boot Sector Launch, activate Boot Sector Launch. Striker Dragon to pop to add back Rocket Tracer. Special summon Tracer with Boot Sector effect. Tracer pops Boot Sector to summon a level 4. So in this case, I'll use Rocket Recharger because it has some usages because this is a dark deck. And then we have Tracer plus Rocket Recharger on the field. So depending on the exact situation, you could also use this to maybe make Dispatter if we have a level 6 dragon, which I don't think is that likely, but for the most part here, we can just make a 1 Omni Negate Warlord Savage Dragon. And if we count the amount of summons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5th summon is Warlord Savage Dragon. So this can be nibbed, which isn't that problematic because it still deals with nib. But either way, you can start off with insulating all of your plays by making an Omni Negate without special summoning. And this Omni Negate is much higher in quality than what you could achieve with Primite. So with Primite, you would be able to grab a Drill Beam, which could negate like an Imperm or an Impulse. But this negates, yeah, just anything. So a lot better in that regard. Like, yeah. And that's probably the most interesting thing about Dark. Aside from that, you have easy access to Verte to either special summon Dragoon or DP at the cost of running some Garnets, which I'm not 100% sure how worth this is, but you know, if you brick, you can just scoop in the event, right? So not a big deal. So yeah, that's Dark pretty much. For Water, I haven't really seen Water. I don't really play Water decks myself, but I mean, Shark seems fine. I don't think anything was hit in that deck in particular. It's just hand trap issue, mostly, with being Dark Water. And then if we go to Light Earth, you have the ability to just slap Kashtira Fenrir into your deck, and there aren't really any Dark or Water Kashtira monsters that are really worth running. I don't think. Unless maybe we can check. I haven't actually checked if a Rise Art is legal. So let's do a quick check because we can make this with just pure dark actually if we're feeling particularly evil. Okay, I guess we can, but it's not necessarily that great. So imagine we just slap 3 Kashir Ogre in the list, maybe one a prep, and then we make Kashir a Rise Heart. So we can manage this with Nightmare, Orcus Nightmare, I think, or whatever. So with this, right? So we can make Nightmare Mermaid with Unicorn, so Unicorn, Nightmare Mermaid. We'd do something like that. That's 1/7 Kashira Ogres, another one. And then I don't remember if you can actually use this to make an additional summon. If I link this off, we can get World Wand to special summon back Nightmare. But I mean that's kind of a moot point, I guess, right? Yeah. But that is literally just 1/7 off of the 3 7s you need to make a Rise Heart. So you'd probably make something work here. Not that I'd be that inclined to do so. Actually, wait, if we had Destrudo, I think we'd just make a generic 7. And also we have Danger Nessie and a few other options, right? Yeah. So a Rise Heart is pretty makeable. It's just like, would you bother doing this? Seems kind of annoying. I think the best route to do this is something like involving Raid Raptors, I believe, because you can just rank up into technically a Rise Heart, I guess, right? So, was it this one? Special summon one of these. No. So it's just quick launch, right? So if we can put a rank 6 Dark monster with no materials on the field, we can just do rank up magic launch on it to summon a Rise Heart. Cool. That's actually just kind of moderately annoying in several sorts of ways, but yeah, I guess you could, right? Can't think of like a really good levels or rank 6 dark monster to put on the field. I guess we can check while we're here. So XYZ rank 6. So these are the legal ones, and it has to be a dark one. So Pilgrim Reaper, this detaches 1. Hard once per turn. Not great. Dragulus. If this face-up card is under control, sent to your graveyard or banished by your opponent's card effect. Not quite there either. So it has to be a dark specifically. So I guess you could use Revolution Falcon. And you can bring back Revolution Falcon, I believe, with Ga Magician, the rank 4. So yeah, that's a play, I suppose. I'm definitely not crafting the cards to do this though, so yeah. Light Earth, you have like Nibiru, Effect Veiler. Light just has some of the best hand traps, so not a whole lot to say about this. Firewind also has some really good hand traps. So we have Ash Blossom Joel. Pretty good lineup in general that you can run. I could have made this more hand trap heavy, but you also have access to Kashtira Unicorn, and Light Earth has access to Fenrir. So you can just run one of Unicorn or one of Fenrir. It's just something you can just drop, which is like moderately annoying, I guess. The extra deck for Fire Wind, though, I can't really think of that many good guys that you can really generically access. Like, I can shove Promethean Princess in here, but it doesn't really do anything. Ambloel, we can put that in here. We have Stray Elf, Nightmare Phoenix, Pita, which has no targets to steal, probably. Apollosa, probably one of the best things we can make in this regard. So that is something, I guess. Well, one of the things that is really dangerous in this event, somewhat, is that, well, just making a Towers monster is kind of problematic to an extent. So if I were to, for example, maybe drop Dragoon on the field, you might have actually just 0 ways of outing Dragoon, for example, which I find like somewhat amusing, just a little bit, right? And then with Light and Earth, I think you can technically run Underworld Goddess here. So if we actually just made a Towers monster whilst playing Light and Earth, well, I don't know what Towers monsters are available for Light and Earth. I guess Gachiri at Ignister is legal, so we could make kind of like an Earth Towers or something. That would be pretty hard to deal with. And yeah. The event overall, so far, I haven't been hit by anything particularly degenerate, so that's nice. Real quick though, I guess, should check. Might as well. Because technically I could have been doing a few different things the whole time, maybe. Okay, so Black Garden is legal. Well, yeah, I mean, this is very abusable. So, not a whole lot to say about that. So if I were playing Blackwing, we're going to just assume Blackwing is hella legal, right? I don't remember what attribute was this again. Yeah, dark. Garden Rose Maiden is a dark, so I can do the Blackwing combo where we just get into Black Garden, and that's just something we can do. And then we have the option of also splashing in like the quick launch stuff, and then just running Small World because we should be able to bridge around, and it wouldn't be too difficult, I don't think, to bridge around from one dark monster to another. So yeah, we could play Blackwing with this rocket stuff, and then just quick launch after we like normal summon maybe Simoon, or we can just normal summon Sudri and do that combo. If I recall correctly, normal summon Sudri does allow you to flood your opponent's zones with Black Garden, so that's really annoying. I don't remember how many decks actually have ways to out this, like if we're thinking just about attributes, but just in general, hella annoying. Okay, so next thing to check is I forgot to check this in the previous video, so I don't really have a full complete list for this. I'll finish it later, probably. But all right, simple question: this legal? Yes or no? Hmm. All right, we have no Girsu. So you kind of can't resolve World Legacy Scars as easily, but it's not necessarily impossible. Let's see, we have this Witch is Light, this Witch is Light, this Witch is Light, and then we have Ibli, but we're missing some of the World Legacy cards, which we do need a World Legacy card for Ibli, or not Ibli, or Ib, the World Chalice Guardian or whatever, or World Key, something like that. Yeah, well, okay. This is at least playable, just a Magnite strategy in general, which is something for sure. Not really sure how I would play Magnites with only light, but at least it's possible, I guess. And if you do find yourself able to resolve scars, that's just an immediate win against like pretty much every deck. In terms of controlled decks though, like Dark Water is actually pretty good for this. So for Dark Water, you could go, I guess, like, I don't think anyone's like really playing this, but you can go like Labyrinth and throw in some Paleos, for example, and they're like different combinations of this that you can do. I guess they banned the big ladies, right? Maybe, yeah, it wouldn't be as good without the big ladies. So Labyrinth is somewhat playable. It's just, yeah, Labyrinth's not really fun to play against. So all right, whatever then. What else we got here? Hmm. In terms of degenerate things, because I haven't really seen that much, well, much of anything popping off. Is there anything else we can do? Hmm. Yeah, I don't think there really is. Missing Girsu is like a name missing as well, which makes it even harder to resolve. So that kind of sucks in that regard, I guess. But wait a second. Wait. You could cook, right? Yeah, you could. Technically, you have Primite, so could you do something with maybe Primite Magnite? Just maybe, right? And then I'm not sure if there are any World Legacy cards that you could easily access. So to make this to begin with, you must have a World Legacy card in your graveyard. World Legacy. There are 0 World Legacy monsters that are legal, I think, for this. Because they must all not be light or earth. So you would need to send a spell or trap to the graveyard, either from hand or deck. So we can't even use like Orcus cards. So I believe there is at least one Orcus card that might. Nope, never mind. I thought maybe one of them actually had the word World Legacy on them, but seems like it wasn't the case anyway, so you couldn't do that. Wait, isn't the Synchro technically legal? Maybe. Is this banned actually? I'm confused. Did they actually ban this? No, it's just the water. Why is this a water? Huh. Well, okay then, I guess. I guess that's simply not playable. So, yeah. I guess that's all I got for you guys today. And if you have any other potentially degenerate strats you want to share in the comments below, feel free to do so. So, yeah. Bye.